Welcome to On Air with Kash. Our guest today is an award-winning and Emmy-nominated writer, director, producer, editor, photographer, and comedian. Please welcome Gary Robinson.
Hey, how you doing? Great to be on here and to see you again.
Gary, it's always a pleasure. I just kicked off that intro, and really, what don't you do? I forgot to mention that you are also a music producer as well.
Yeah, I started that several years ago, and it's been a lot of fun. I mean, the first song I wrote, I co-wrote with a pop star named Jeremy Jordan. He had a top 10 hit single back in the 90s, and he starred with Drew Barrymore in Never Been Kissed. And we wrote a song to bring attention to the homeless problem like 12 years ago now. And it's weird that it's been so pertinent again. Like, you know, the homeless problem has really gone out of control with the virus. So it's become, I think, popular to, the song is kind of bring attention to that again, I hope. That song's called Forgotten People.
Your new song and collaboration was The Power of One, and you recently got a lot of coverage on different news outlets for that one.
Yeah, it's been exciting that people are, I think, responding to it. And it's more of a tribute to the legacy of what happened after. I mean, it's a tragedy, obviously, but hopefully some good will come out of it.
Because you're very passionate about your causes. It reflects a lot in your work. And I've seen you do comedy numerous times. You are so funny.
Don't get too excited, guys. I was nominated for editing. I love my intro. What guys suck in bed? Gary Robinson, come to the stage. Thank you.
You take the audience down one route, and then all of a sudden you build off of one thing to another. It's really brilliant work. I admire it.
Oh, thanks a lot. Yeah, comedy is a very interesting art form, and I've evolved numerous times. So you may have even seen me a few years back when I was doing kind of more edgy stuff. And when we started doing more comedy on Zoom, I kind of dialed it down and tried to find the funny in less controversial subjects. But it's a fascinating art form, and just how we try to surprise people and use the psychology against them and stuff. So Jay Moore was in Jerry Maguire with Tom Cruise, and I used to look like Tom Cruise from Rain Man. Now I look like Dustin Hoffman from Rain Man. I look like Tom Cruise if the missions really were impossible. Like, my hair looks like it was cut by The Last Samurai. It's kind of quick oblivion. The last Tom Cruise movie is called Mission Impossible Fallout. It apparently was about my hair. There's no product in my hair at all. It's pointing straight up, defying physics and gravity. It's always a lot of fun. But yes, I'm glad you've seen some of my comedy. It's interesting over time.
Yeah, I know it's actually a funny thing because, I know we have a lot of mutual colleagues in the industry. And, I've done comedic work as an actor, but I'd see a brilliant stand-up and showcase or a special and be like, wow, and then, it just for whatever reason, it's just there's stuff that I think about. Right before the pandemic, I took a stunt training class and a stand-up class.
What was scarier for you, doing the stunt work or the stand-up comedy?
Oh, the stand-up, definitely.
Yeah, you're definitely flying without a net up there. And then you have the whole interactivity possibility of the audience, maybe heckling and stuff too. So it's a different art form. I mean, it takes a lot of effort to find your voice in stand-up comedy and to be able to deal with all the permutations and the different audiences and what can happen and stuff. My neighbor, Raymond J. Barry, who's a very talented actor, he was Tom Cruise's father on Born on the 4th of July. And he's done a million plays, and he always tells me he's petrified of stand-up comedy, and I'm like, how can you be? You're doing these plays with all these audiences. And I think it's just because you're exposing yourself so much more in stand-up comedy than regular acting where you're immersing yourself in a role. So, but yeah, it scares people.
Exactly. And actually, it's funny you said that because one of the drills or the lessons in the class that I was taking for the stand-up, we had to really be ourselves, and we would go up there and do some improv stuff, but I would always do something through a character, or I was always just kind of taking, or I don't know. I just feel like there was a period I was getting typecast as like the D-bag roles, or like the douchey boyfriend or the mean guy. And so for whatever reason, it's just, I get into some of these roles, like do this. I feel like I can only, like they threw a theme out there. I feel like I can only talk like this through like a douchey character. So then I would just kind of go into one of those roles or something.
Yeah, oh, that's funny. But did doing stand-up help you with acting? Because I know stand-up comedians, we've had a lot of great stand-up comics like Jim Carrey and Robin Williams who've come up through stand-up, and then they become great actors because you have to really be on your feet in stand-up. And so you go into audition, and I'm sure they throw some left turns at you and some problems that you got to deal with them in acting. But I think being on your feet in stand-up can probably help with acting. Have you found that at all? Or?
I definitely agree with that it was a lesson, and it did keep me to, have a quicker wit to something, or to look at. So it's just, every lesson that I take, it's just, there's something to add to the resume, but then it's just, there's a tool that you gain from it. And I think that stand-up was really helpful. And even just with communicating, even just doing this show, I mean, I'd really just gotten into podcasts the last couple years. And then as things got virtual, when everything closed during the pandemic, it started with Instagram. We were doing interviews with different friends, and then it's evolved into what is now the On Air with Kash. But I just feel like even having that experience doing stand-up better prepared me for interviewing people.
Oh, great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm kind of quiet and I'm kind of shy. I'm not really outgoing by nature. So doing stand-up is totally against my character. So it kind of takes me out of my comfort zone. It makes me be more outgoing and meet people and try to promote my shows and stuff. So, it's good to get out of our comfort zone one way or another.
I agree with that too, because I was when I was young, I was really shy. And I think I was probably about 14 or 15. It was really just doing karaoke. And there were just karaoke stuff. I literally would do Welcome to the Jungle and become Axl Rose for 3 minutes. And then I'd jump off and I would just be the shyest guy in the world again, but be like, no, Kash, you tapped into something, get into that'll help with acting or whatever. So it's again, it's like me. I just feel like it's kind of if I can hide myself in a character, it's really, letting yourself go and being you that terrifies me, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Not only do you perform stand-up, but you've produced numerous shows. You go with top headliners. I mean, you've recently, during the pandemic, you've done shows with Jay Moore, Tom Arnold, and you've also produced our mutual friend Jimmy Shin's comedy special that's on Amazon Prime, The Walk of Shame.
Oh, yeah. That was a lot of fun. We rented out the Roxy right up the street from where I live.
I was there, yeah.
Oh, you were there? Oh,
I was there at the
tape.
It was just remarkable to see Jimmy go. He just did not break beat or character for a full hour. And I had massive respect for him after that.
Yeah, it was amazing. We had 6 cameras. We had one on a jib floating around. And then I did the edit too. So that was a lot of, so I really got to know all the bits and everything that was going on. And we did 2 performances and kind of took the best of the 2. But we mainly used the second one where the audience was a little more warmed up. And that was when I got to perform at too. I performed at the beginning to kind of do a warm up.
I do remember that. Okay, so
I was really outrageous that night, so I shouldn't have done some of the stuff I did. But it was a great night, and we had a great time. And I think we got a good comedy special. It's called Walk of Shame, WOK, on Amazon Prime, by Jimmy Shin. And it was a fun experience. We're doing a comedy special. I've done thousands of promos and trailers and commercials and music videos and all kinds of stuff, but I'd never done a comedy special before. So that was a fun experience for me to do something totally new. Yeah, I produced another comedy special after that called Sarah Halstead's RVs and Cats. That's also on Amazon Prime right now too. And yeah, it's fun. It's a different art form. The comedy specials are good. It's interesting to see how they come around, how they come about, and you see all the hard work of the comedians while they're preparing for it and stuff. Because doing 7 to 12 minutes or 15 minutes is one thing, but when you're doing a full hour, that's a whole nother thing. That's another animal. It's like doing a one-man show, kind of, but trying to get laughs the entire time. So
Sarah's another colleague of mine who went through Jimmy and through another colleague of ours. And then it was, I think, just months before the pandemic, we kept running into each other at a few of these events. So it's funny how a lot of that came full circle. And it was right when I was starting the comedy class as well.
That's so funny because Sarah is a veteran actress too, and she's done a lot of reenactment programs and stuff. And I was helping a friend with his acting demo reel, and some of his stuff was with her, randomly. And that's what a small town it is. You run into the same people over and over again. It's kind of a small community. People think it's a big industry, but really there's a small number of actors that are working consistently, and then there's a lot of other actors that you're always working with, and even the craftspeople, and cinematographers. It's a small industry, really, as far as the people who are working the most. So
you mentioned your trailer and promo work. You actually just did the trailer for a new documentary called Altitude, Not Attitude.
Yes, and that was a really satisfying project to work on because it's a documentary about a guy who he basically falls off an escalator and breaks his back at a mall, and then his whole life is obviously different. That was it when he was younger, at like 25, and his attitude, or 22, and his attitude is so great and of life. So it's a great documentary because we can see how he deals with life. And the guy travels around the world. Like he'll travel to Europe. He's going through Rome and France and Italy, all over the place. And so the documentary follows him, and it's inspirational to me because I don't really travel a lot. And here's this guy, who's dealing with like a lot more difficulties than I have, and he's traveling around the world. So I think it's good, particularly in this time when we're all dealing with these challenges through a pandemic, to see how somebody can deal with his ongoing problems in a great way and inspire a lot of people and make people laugh. And so it's a nice project. It's available on numerous outlets. Just Google Altitude, Not Attitude, the life story of Michael Warkentin. I always get the last name wrong. Michael Warkentin. And it's I think it's on like iTunes and a lot of these different venues. So great documentary though.
You heard it. You can get Altitude, Not Attitude on digital platforms, but be sure to watch the trailer first, edited by Gary Robinson. I mean, Gary, what I particularly admire about you is just you're so talented in so many ways, but you also are very passionate about social causes, about what's happening in the world. It reflects very well in not only your comedy, but I think your music and the projects that you particularly want to get involved in, I think is very admirable, and you're so talented at all these things.
Oh, well, thank you very much. It's fun to be able to use our abilities to try to bring attention to things we care about, because so many times we're really guns for hire for the most part in this industry, but we can produce stuff and have a voice and say what we want to say. So that's one great thing about being able to produce stuff ourselves.
You've been performing in Silver Lake, the Comedy Chateau. You're a part of Jimmy Shindig show. You also perform with Eugenia Kuzmina and actually Tom Arnold. That was an interesting thing. I almost went to that show at the Roosevelt. And Tom's someone who I run into Tom a couple times throughout the last 10 years. My friend Mika Borum, who I grew up with, about 5 years ago, she hit me up to do a cameo in her movie. And it just released on Amazon Prime. It's called Hollywood.con. It's kind of like a Tropic Thunder-esque thing where she's this actress. It's not working out, but then she stumbles upon a script, gets it made. Tom's one of the stars in it. But right around the same time I did that cameo, I was in this other movie called Undateable John with Tom. And we didn't have any scenes together in either of them, but then we just kept kind of running into each other. And then now he's performing a lot with you.
Yeah, ironically, I'm with him tonight at the outside at that venue too. Yeah, and we've been doing shows there every Tuesday. We've had Bill Burr, we've had Jay Moore, Jamie Kennedy, Tom Arnold, a lot of great people. And you can find tickets at Sharp Cut Comedy too. That's my website, or at I think at jimmyshindig.com too. But yeah, they've been ongoing, and it's been great for the pandemic because we're outside, we're socially distanced, and it's a safe way to do comedy and still get great headliners out and still have a great time with the audience. So it's been fun.
You said it. Give it up for Gary Robinson. You can watch him Tuesday nights with Jimmy Shin, Jamie Kennedy, Bill Burr, Tom Arnold. They always have a great lineup. Visit his website, DJ Sharp Cut. And Gary, I really, again, you're someone I admire. You're hilarious. You're so multi-talented. Just really keep it up. I can't wait to work together again. And I'm definitely going to come see you live very soon.
Great. We're looking forward to it. Thanks very much. It's a lot of fun.
It's amazing. Thanks for being here with us.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for rocking out with me and Gary Robinson today. You are on air with Kash.